What's up everyone, welcome to another camera comparison video. Today I have this Poco F3 GT, which one is known as the Redmi K40 Gaming Edition in China, and this Oppo Reno 6 Pro. Well, listen carefully which smartphone microphone is doing better. Check carefully which smartphone is reproducing my skin tone correctly. I can clearly see that Oppo Reno 6 Pro is doing better in color rendition, skin tone, and exposure is also better on Oppo Reno 6 Pro. If you end up liking this video, then please don't forget to click on the like button and please subscribe to this channel. That helps a lot. Let's start differently. On the right it's Oppo Reno 6 Pro, on the left it's Poco F3 GT, and in the middle it's Mi 11 Ultra. Definitely Mi 11 Ultra has better autofocus, better light metering, more details are grabbed, more textures are processed. It's daylight between Mi 11 Ultra and the other two. But Oppo Reno 6 Pro really came close with superb background processing, thanks to its stock camera algorithm, which resembles OnePlus stock camera algorithm. When there are a lot of colors needed to be reproduced in a low light environment, Poco F3 GT struggles, as it depends on EIS. A bit of a movement would result in a blurry image. Yes, Reno 6 Pro also depends on EIS, but it has better shutter speed and exposure. But as it's an Oppo mid-range, it doesn't perform with consistency. Rather, Poco F3 GT sometimes pulled stunner. As I always say, a lot depends on personal preferences. It depends on how you like your photos. But details and dynamic range on Reno 6 Pro is usually better than Poco F3 GT. When most of the budget smartphones struggles in low light, I am amazed to see how good Oppo Reno 6 Pro performs. Yeah, when it performs very good. But there is no consistency. Both of these two smartphones got 8 megapixel sensor for ultra-wide shots. Both have 2.2 aperture, and on paper it says both have the same field of view. But in reality, Reno 6 Pro has a bit wider FOV. Yes, both have fought neck and neck, but white balance, dynamic range and color rendition is slightly better on Oppo Reno 6 Pro. When we check shadows, amount of textures processed and details in the subject, things are really different. I would say Oppo did magic. Yes, a lot depends on personal preferences, and Reno 6 Pro obviously adds extra optimization to make things lucrative, but truly Poco F3 GT, as known as Redmi K40 Gaming Edition, ultra-wide performance is below par. Regular photography is the most important thing for almost all the average users. People open smartphone camera app and start taking photos. Yes, both of these two smartphones have Pro mode where you can change settings, select different options, but it is true that average users usually take photos in auto mode. I have taken all these images in auto mode with auto HDR on. AI and scene detection was also enabled. The moment you check these photos side by side, you'd notice three main differences or issues: white balance, shadows, and texture processing. Oppo Reno 6 Pro has maintained cool color tone, well-balanced shadow details, vibrant color rendition, and wider dynamic range. All these together makes the images grabbed by Oppo Reno 6 Pro eye candy. On the other hand, Poco F3 GT reproduced images with a bit warm tone and a bit higher midtones. Highlights and shadows are a bit on the lower side. Texture processing on Oppo Reno 6 Pro is better because it grabs more details. And the most important part for me is details and shadows. Cause after you take a photo, if you want to edit, you cannot add details. I don't only take landscape photos. I also take photos of my friends and my family. To me, human photography is important. Surprisingly, once we start taking photos of human subject, there is significant difference in performance. I mean, both start to deliver something differently. For starter, Poco F3 GT increases midtones and highlights, tries to process textures with smoothness, colors are more vibrant than usual, and skin tone, oh yes, that's gonna be a bit brighter, but that warm color temperature ruins everything. Also, background is almost overexposed in center subject focus metering. On the other hand, Oppo Reno 6 Pro lost a bit of shadows, exposure is not that correct, skin tone is darker than reality, and textures are a bit sharper than necessary. The problem is, none of these two smartphones portrays or shows the real scene. Cause sometimes Reno 6 Pro got correct skin tone and sometimes Poco F3 GT got more details. Both of these two are mid-range smartphones and doesn't come with any dedicated telephoto lens. In my other camera comparison videos, I have mentioned clearly, digital zoom doesn't mean it has to be poor quality. Actually, a lot depends on the sensor size and stock camera algorithm. Both have done similarly well. Yes, Oppo Reno 6 Pro reproduced brighter images, but sometimes shadows are crushed and textures are overprocessed. I would say 2x and 3x digital zoom photos of these two smartphones are good enough for the specifications and price, but anything beyond 5x is almost unusable. Time for portrait photos, and this is another segment where Oppo Reno 6 Pro did better. Anyway, as none of these two smartphones got a telephoto lens, both depends on the main sensor and portrait photos are pretty average. Oppo Reno 6 Pro has better color rendition, better shadows and midtones. Other than that, things are definitely similar like those main sensor regular photos. After checking a few portrait photos taken by these two smartphones, it is clear that there is a difference in white balance and tonal contrast. Why am I not surprised? Yeah, I'm not surprised to see sometimes Poco F3 GT slightly saturates the colors, cause this is also a trend of any Xiaomi budget smartphone. But I'm surprised to see how Poco F3 GT rendered colors and tonal contrast is really a bit different than reality. And this indeed made skin tone and the background look a bit unusual. Edge detection, edge cutouts, and separation line blend performance randomly jumps back and forth, but once again Reno 6 Pro is a bit ahead with that creamy bokeh effect. Both Samara, I mean the model, and me likes the bokeh photos of Oppo Reno 6 Pro. But I know a lot of me fanboys would come and bash this channel. Why is it so hard to accept the truth? These video clips were recorded at 4K 30 frames per second. Yes, we will also check 1080p 30 frames per second videos after the night mode photos. There is a difference in field of view. Almost all the Xiaomi smartphones crops in a bit to stabilize the video clips, especially when it depends on EIS. I must mention, this cropping really worked. Check stabilization of Poco F3 GT. It's way better. It looks pretty smooth beside that Reno 6 Pro video clip. There are some differences as usual. Exposure, dynamic range and details actually jumps back and forth. Sometimes better on Poco F3 GT and sometimes better on Reno 6 Pro. I cannot say these clips are crisp and full of details, but considering the price segment, this is really good. Okay, these two night mode photos here, these represents the total picture of night mode performance of these two smartphones. If you are a regular to this channel, if you have watched any of my other camera comparison videos, then you may already know I have a different approach to check night mode photos. I call it DENS. Details, exposure, noise, shadows. In terms of details, Oppo Reno 6 Pro already have proven through this comparison it grabs more details and maintains better white balance. Even if both the smartphones got the same SoC and ISP, Reno 6 Pro processed textures with efficiency. Exposure is almost similar, but as mentioned earlier, due to better shutter speed, Reno 6 Pro once again is age ahead. If you don't know yet, then this new colorways of Oppo actually shares the same algorithm of OnePlus Oxygen OS stock camera. So this gives this Reno 6 Pro the AI to effectively denoise. Finally, yes, it's shadows and there is not much of a difference in shadows while photos are taken handheld. But Poco F3 GT goes a bit more if you can put it on a tripod. I will leave these selfie photos and selfie portraits for you. I'm not going to do the differentiation. There is an international smartphone giveaway going on. All the subscribers of this channel can join this giveaway. What you have to do is to subscribe to this channel and make a comment describing which smartphone has done better in selfie photo and selfie portraits. I will let you enjoy the music and check the photos. If you require steady stabilization and true to life color tone, if you want to get the best video clips out of these two smartphones, then I strongly recommend you should record videos at 1080p 30 frames per second with EIS and HDR on. Both performs very good, offers lots of details, shadows and exposure is well balanced, colors are not too saturated, contrast ratio, brightness and white balance, everything is almost as good as high-end smartphones. It's time to wrap up, time to give verdict. Let me be clear. I love this Poco F3 GT as a smartphone, but this one is no way my first choice for photography. The truth is, even Oppo Reno 6 does better than Poco F3 GT when it's all about photography. Other than that photography thing, Poco F3 GT is one of the best smartphones in its price range. I wish you have liked this video. I will wait for your comments and please don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to this channel.